Have you heard about this? Anna, have you heard about the Zack Snyder's Justice League? You ever heard about that?
Oh my god, yes, Jarbo, I've heard about that before. What is it this time?
What is it this time? What is it this time, you ask? Well, this time apparently there's a case study that is talking about the social media impact of the campaign for the movie. And it's actually, I'm not going to lie, it's some interesting data. It's some numbers. It's finally something to talk about in regards to this. Now, I'm just going to show out right off the bat this. They have a little sizzle reel, right? That's talking about everything that happened with it, giving you a rundown of their social media plan. And it's the thing is, I want to play the video because it's well made, it's well put together, and it's corporate as fuck. So it makes me cringe internally, but at the same time, definitely.
Since 2017, fans have been clamoring for Zack Snyder's vision of Justice League. As an extension of the HBO Max team, Homebrew developed a social marketing campaign focused on community management and epic creative honoring Zack's vision, ultimately delighting fans and breaking social campaign records.
My lord, this road won't fall like all the others.
We focused primarily on Twitter to serve the always-on fan base, while we used Facebook and Instagram to reach mainstream audiences. We created rollout strategies for the film accounts and partners to build a unified ecosystem. Most of all, we activated the fans.
Happy birthday, Mr. Zack Snyder.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Zack.
Happy birthday.
We engaged directly with audiences to boost conversation while actively listening to adjust our strategy in real time, including converting top-performing creative into paid media opportunities. Our massive social campaign earned over 34 billion impressions and helped make Zack Snyder's Justice League a tremendous success for HBO Max.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us united.
I mean, that's impressive. That's impressive.
That was pretty cool.
Right?
What always makes me cringe, though? The word epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cringy word. Can we all just come to that agreement and conclusion? Like, the word epic is usually used in a cringy manner these days.
It is kind of cringe at times. I want to see if I can get to the. There we go.
It's fucking epic.
Yeah. Okay, so this caught my eye, right? So between Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is what they're kind of saying here. They had 34.7 billion impressions, 12.2 million social conversion volume, 280.6 million engagements, 1.5 million unique social accounts, and a follower growth of 3,514 present. It's one of those, for one, let's be fair. This was a social movement that was built on Twitter.
Yep.
Predominantly. And it moved over to YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and then obviously Vero and things like that. And this company coming out and doing all the stuff that they showed us looked pretty cool. There's some slick stuff there. And their social media presence leading up to the release of the film felt good. It felt organic. It felt like they were really trying to push it.
Because it started organic. Yeah.
Yeah, it started organic. And then, the company felt like they were really backing the fan base there, which is one of the reasons why I do think there's as much animosity towards Warner Brothers in response to this. Because here's the deal. All of this is cool to see, right? All of this is cool to see. It looks fantastic. 34.7 billion impressions, right? But that is also, by the way, going over, if I could find that here, how far back did it go? Because there's another graph. Here we go. Oops. All right. Look at this here. Look at this here. Campaign volume by day. Okay.
Yep.
So if you see here, it goes all the way back to teaser art date. And this is back in February of 2021. and everything. And this is what they're arguing as their graph here. But what I don't understand is if Homebrew's campaign only started February 28th, 2021, going through the next month, and it got 34.7 billion impressions, that's pretty big. It was all over the place. Everyone was talking about it. That is true. But like I was talking about before, the biggest issue here, and this is where I think we get into like the solid data of it all, has everything to do with the fact that we still do not know how well this fucking movie did.
Yeah, like they can show us those numbers all they want, but we don't know how it stacks up against like other statistics, not just when it comes to Warner Brothers films in general and how they perform, but also like other films in the industry. Like they can show us all the big numbers they want, and sure, in a way it is impressive, but to a lot of people who don't really understand the industry and analytics and what they're going up against, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, well, TW here asks, where's all the 2018 to 2021 stuff? All of that doesn't apply to this because this is before, I'm assuming Homebrew was running the campaign for Warner Media. That's my assumption, at least at this particular point. And so they wouldn't have come on board until they would have been ready to launch the campaign,
True.
meaning February 28th. So, I mean, that's a lot of social media impressions. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Andrew, thank you for the $10 super chat. We'll get to that here in a second. But I think the way I look at this, though, is like that's a lot of impressions. But if you look at okay, 34.7 billion impressions, but only 280 million engagements. You know what I mean? Like that to me is something that is kind of interesting, where you've got 280 million engagements, but the impressions were definitely there. So it's like there was a lot of posts is what that tells me. 1.5 million unique accounts. I mean, 1.5 million unique social accounts, but still up to 35 billion impressions. There's something in regards to the extrapolation of this that I'm just kind of having some questions about, because it's like obviously what they're doing is they're probably running Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and looking at the analytics provided by that, given how much social media influenced the Snyder Cut, given how many Snyder Cut fans have, and this is true, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 accounts. They have so many accounts. A lot of them do. And so I do wonder how much is potentially artificial in regards to those impressions and those engagements, but that's their hard data. So, I mean, look, I'm not trying to shit talk it. I think it's done very well. What I'm saying is that like without the numbers from Warner Media to understand how well the movie did, it is something that needs to be, kind of looked at. Cause right now, people have said Zack Snyder's Justice League is sold out in stores. I've heard that. That's actually not true. It was sold out in appearance only because due to the pandemic, they've begun limiting stock on store shelves. So the movie would sell out. They would then go and put a couple more copies out, so on and so forth. Because everywhere I went where there was a mass abundance of Snyder Cut, on 4K or on DVD or on Blu-ray, one or two would move every once in a while, so it's not everyday sort of thing. And then again, Samba TV says only 1.8 million people viewed it in the first couple days on HBO Max, but they again only operate from specific Samsung televisions. So there's a lot of data there that you have to take with a grain of salt. And even this you have to take with a grain of salt. But they definitely did pretty well with this. I do want to look at this overview though. So it says, in a social media campaign unmatched in scope and size, Homebrew partnered closely with HBO Max for the long-awaited release of the Snyder Cut. Tasked with driving awareness and subscriptions to the platform, we developed a holistic digital marketing strategy, content rollout plan, and community management approach to successfully engage the extremely passionate worldwide fan base. See, again, okay, so they wanted to build awareness and then drive subscriptions to the platform. However, they're talking about the extremely passionate worldwide fan base where, oh, by the way, HBO Max wasn't even a thing. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That is a very good point. Yeah, the
outside
Snyder
of
Cut was being advocated for long before that.
outside of the US, it did there was not HBO Max outside of the US. So there was a lot of PVOD that did very well on PVOD.
I
in
thought you were
different-
making the point like people were advocating for this before HBO Max was even a fucking thing.
Oh no, they
That was also
absolutely
the case.
were.
Yeah,
They
that was also
absolutely
the
were.
case.
But this is Homebrew trying to sell it. This is Homebrew running corporate speak here.
Yeah,
You know,
I do feel like a bunch of, especially like the video that we just saw, even though like the movie itself and a lot of what it's accomplished like through this movement is impressive, I feel like that was just a bunch of like empty graphics just trying to like show off and like impress people who don't really like put in the time to try and understand it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's really all it is. Like you said, a bunch of corporate like PR bullshit. But no, I mean that doesn't mean that like I feel like people might see that and be like, oh, like what, you shitting on the film? It's like, no, just because this is a little bit cringily put together and doesn't really have much substance doesn't mean the film was any like less good than it was.
Yeah. Well,
That's weird.
again, it's like I think the film is done very well. I think the movie is beloved by a lot of people.
Rightfully
think-
so, I think. So.
Rightfully so. It's a fantastic movie. But today, this came out today. Well, this actually came out, believe it or not. This started being shared around today, but this actually appeared on Reddit on the 20th of November, and it didn't make its way out until literally 11 days later is when we all learned about this. And the only reason why the guy who posted it found it was because he's in a marketing class and he was doing research and ended up coming across Homebrew on another project, and then ended up finding this data for the Snyder Cut. So this is the thing for this extremely passionate worldwide fan base who is always online as they're trying to argue here. This sat for 11 days in a DC film subreddit before people
Reddit.
started talking about it. So I'm just saying, it's like there's always that little extra element there where I think that potentially, while it's done well, there has been a bit of an overinflation in regards to some of that. And that's just my take on it. I mean, obviously, I do think it's good. I do want to see more. But I think we also need to start looking at it from the perspective that maybe, just maybe, it's not as big as people out there have been kind of led to believe, or in some instances, they simply want to believe. And so look, here they bring this back up again. The impressions, I mean, look, impressions look good right here, but that generally kind of means nothing.
Sure.
And
here's the fucking thing.
Engagements
like,
are good though.
Let's say it's not as fucking big as they're fucking puffing it up to be. Like, some of the greatest fucking films ever don't get the love and recognition they deserve until well after they fucking come out. And you know what? I think that eventually, like, this is like, there's obviously already like a lot of love and appreciation for this film, but I do think that it'll increase as time goes on. So, like,
no, I agree. I definitely agree with you. I mean, it's like, I was kind of talking at the beginning of the stream about how I got my 4K copy of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, a movie that famously tanked a studio 20 years ago. And the guy who directed it ultimately had to resign in despair. And by the dude who created the Final Fantasy genre. I mean, it's a whole mess of a thing, but I think the movie's done well down the road. People still seem to have a like for it. Same with Super Mario Brothers from 1993.
what?
Yeah, well, Super Mario Brothers from 93 has a pretty solid cult following.
Yeah,
it's a pretty
but
solid
most
cult
people will
following.
watch it to make fun of it. Also,
No,
Jarbo.
no. You gotta find, man, no. People are discovering it every day and loving it. I've been a fan since 93. I will take no Mario Brothers slander in this chat, good sir. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I it might be getting a little bit better, but I noticed like your voice was being a bit choppy there.
Yeah,
A little
I
bit
saw it
choppy.
too. I can't do much about it until it ends up fixing itself.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's the unfortunate thing,
but no, I mean, like, That movie is absolutely terrible, Matt. And I feel like you're the only person who ironically likes it. Everyone else
No,
likes
no.
it ironically.
Shidoko here says Super Mario Brothers 93 is ironically good.
Ironically, he didn't say unironically.
I would argue also unironically. Music Man here says, I knew you were going to say that, or Boss Baby. Boss Baby is also good.
God, the boss.
I would recommend. I highly recommend Boss Baby. Although I do think that the Boss Baby finger guns from the Macy's Day Parade was a bit too on the nose. Anyway. So I mean, look, the thing is, like, this particular company, they engage with the fans, and I, because I noticed. I'll tell you this. I noticed this during the whole campaign, is that there was a lot of fan interaction, and a lot of key fans ended up getting a lot of access, right? I'm not saying they access to Zach as a result of this, but they were I felt like they were kind of in on it all the time. And that's good, because that was, they had established fan bases that were pushing this movie. But the problem with it is, even though they say here that there was, 734,851 fans gained, it doesn't say on which platform. Because this is obviously all of this right here is coming in through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
What the fuck's a fan?
Well, I mean, it's just the fans of what it is. They ended up getting 734,851 new people interested in the product.
You know what I mean, though. Like that feels like a very vague word. Like ultimately, like
Yeah, well, this is a corporate thing. Of course, they're gonna sell this to suits.
fans.
It's like fans. Well, what is
yeah,
it?
that's a word that people understand.
Fans.
People fucking love easy 4-letter words, don't they? They really fucking do. It's nuts.
Yeah. I'm just saying this. Anyway, so they did all this good, they did all this good stuff here, and I think it's really cool to look at the data. They say here community activations, and then they kept talking about Zactivations, and I'm just wondering if that term came from these guys. No, you've heard all like the Zac crack, Zactivations, cul-de-sac.
Nope.
I mean, you saw when I made that meme about Zach Lives Matter, right?
Yeah, I saw your Zach live.
That is why I made that meme. Is when I see all these people that are just going like they add Zach to everything.
No, they don't, Matt. They don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. A lot of them do. A lot of them do.
I don't fucking believe that, man.
Yeah, man. Like they do.
Damn, Jesus.
But it's like, look, these guys said here, knowing the strength and power of fans' voices in this campaign, we approached our fan engagement as a key element to our campaign strategy by developing a personal relationship with individual followers, influencers, and moderators on Reddit, Discord, and Twitter. Moderators.
That's a bad word.
Moderators or Discord?
Influencers.
Yeah. Influencers. I know, right? I hate that fucking term. We activated fans organically by seeding content via DMs and challenging them to dissect them, our content for larger payoffs, like this puzzle piece right here, and dropping all that stuff. So here's my thing. There was a comment that was made inside of that video up there where they had talked about how they turned in some of these into paid media opportunities. So my question then becomes, is that where they were paying influencers in order to do stuff?
Hey, maybe.
I mean, I didn't see anyone rocking an ad and on any of the posts. So I'm not making any claim, right? I'm not making any claim. I'm not putting accusations on anyone. The way they worded it comes across to me as something a little bit on the
Yeah, they would have to have disclosed that it was a hashtag ad if that
well, only in the United States. If they were doing this with anyone who was outside of the United States, like let's say the UK, it's not a requirement.
Those fucking lawless bastards.
And now you know how what's the Epstein guy? The Prince, not Prince Charles, whatever, the one who was hanging out with Epstein all the time. I don't remember his name.
There's so many fucking people that applies to, unfortunately.
No, but it's like, how does he keep getting away with it? Oh, right.
You can't keep getting away with this.
And I'm just saying, it's kind of like, that's kind of the whole point. Like it is, a lot of people look, and a lot of these companies will do that. They will reach out and they will find ways for paid promotion in order to reach people organically. Look, I'll give you guys an example. There was a movie a number of years ago that the producers wanted to use an Instagram influencer. I think she was a makeup influencer. So they went to her. She had like 2.5 million subs. They went to her and they were like, "Hey, will you be in our movie and will you promote our movie on your social media platforms?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Great. How much money?" And they said $5,000. And she went, "Ha, ha, ha, ha. Have you met my representation?" Because she was, big. She was rep by CAA, which is, again, that's one of the major talent agencies. And they were like, "We want $250,000. And that production company went, "Eat shit." And they fucking walked. They took that same deal to 5 other influencers, offered them, I think, either the same $5,000 or less, because those 5 people, their combined subscriber count equaled the 2.5 million that this one person had.
Holy shit, Jarbo.
And like, that was a thing that happened a number of years ago. And it still goes on. That's kind of how the industry works.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, obviously, if they're going to be doing anything, because look, they said here that they actively listened across groups like Reddit, Discord, and Twitter. Where the fuck is there a Discord for the Snyder Cut? That surprises me.
Wait, you're not chilling out in the Snyder Cut Discord, Matt?
I guess I'm not one of the cool kids, Anna.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just not one of the cool kids. I'm a free thinker. I'm a free thinker. That's what I am. They won't let me in their cool kids club. There's a no Matt's club. They already have one Matt there. That was Matt from Lightcast. But how'd that fucking work out for you? Oh, right. Motion comic. Anyway, I'm going to wake up my kids. I swear to God. And then in addition to daily updates and 24-hour reports on big launches, we generated weekly sentiment reports that recapped the recent fan discussions and provided recommendations on larger strategy shifts as needed. So more or less who to pivot to. And so it really makes you wonder, right? Yes, B here says the Snyder Discord sounds sus. Maybe. I don't know, man. Again, it's all that craziness going into this that to me is really fascinating. So I want to know, I would love to know the specific innards of how they did this. So
the innards,
that's a word.
I know it's a word.
Also, I could have said gizzards.
Gizzards. My God, Matt, that's gross. That's graphic, Matt.
That's getting in there. That's real deep. We're talking like just hauling out the cavity of this thing,
fucking
scraping
gross.
it out like a thing, like a Halloween pumpkin.
Oh, that's nasty.
That's just nasty. So they said here with our primary audience on Twitter, because that's where it was. And again, a lot of these diehard Snyder fans, dude, I'm telling you, they've got a bunch of different alt accounts, because it's not hard. It's not hard to have alt accounts. You know what I mean? You can log in with a multitude of accounts from one device, whether it's your phone or whether it is like Hootsuite or whether it's actually Twitter itself. There's a lot they could do. So anyway, they focused on regularly engaging with fans on this platform, optimizing the Snyder Cut's presence with GIFs and other shareable content. Well, now we know where all those GIFs were coming from. Because there was a lot of I noticed that there was a lot of really well put together GIFs that were coming out around that time. And I was like, man, these guys, I'm like, damn, the fucking Snyder dudes, they act quick. Apparently, they didn't.
No, a lot of corporations are putting out GIFs and shit these days. I've noticed there's a lot of I think it's for the newest Marvel movies. Yeah, I've seen a lot of GIFs officially made by Marvel with the logos in the corner. That's how you can tell. Usually they'll put a logo in the corner. If it's
they drop it super quick. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, oftentimes they'll have this stuff ready to go by the time the episode drops, if it's a new show or something.
Yeah, a lot of the time the official ones kind of suck, in my opinion, though.
But it's hard to tell these days.
It is hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it is hard to tell these days.
So, I mean, obviously they launched a Vero page to own exclusive content windows, servicing the hardcore Zack Snyder fan base and their active Snyder Cut community on the platform. And that makes the most amount of sense. But then again, I'm just kind of curious here. How many people
a fried turkey gizzard? I'd try a fried turkey gizzard.
Vero Let's see. Vero
That's
is
the
a
most-
relatively new. It says they have somewhere in the vicinity of about 3 million users.
You've never heard of Vero before? I've heard of it before.
No, I've heard of Vero before. What I'm saying is in regards to their popularity.
Oh,
They
nah.
they only have about 3 million users. But Facebook has 2 billion and Instagram is 800 million and Twitter has 330 million.
They're fucking microscopic.
It's microscopic in comparison, but the thing with that is though is that's a very dedicated base of people. That is a massively dedicated base of people. So that's kind of the whole point here is that like they've worked out well. Now they get into the paid media strategy. As a close partner to HBO Max, we planned paid asset rollouts and coordinated with their media agency and publishing partners, including Twitch, Snapchat, and Twitter. In tandem with the organic content schedule, we converted top performing creative for paid assets to draw in a larger audience. I mean, to be honest with you, that speak there is kind of lost on me. I'll be fair. That's where I'm confused by it. Is this like the influencer thing? We converted top performing creative for paid assets. I don't know. I mean, were they just running ads on stuff? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that could be it, honestly. Maybe they sold some ads to YouTubers. I mean, not to YouTubers, to YouTube, and they were mistaking that for like, maybe they don't know how the YouTube ad process works, basically, and they thought that was like kind of like selling it to YouTubers when it's not. It's selling it to YouTube, who plays it over the YouTube videos. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they did a lot with it, and they also did stuff here by kind of coordinating a launch for the first trailer. You know, by working with DC Comics and HBO Max's international accounts and then talent, you know, creating a blitzkrieg approach to it basically. And it worked. They had a lot of interaction on that first trailer when that dropped. But then here's my question. Here's my real question for you. How did the trailer leak?
I mean,
right?
You're asking yourself a question.
I'm asking myself, a good prosecutor never asks a question they don't already know the answer to.
You know,
I'm not a good prosecutor, but I'm a very curious person. You know, I remember that trailer leaked out early and everyone is all furious about it. Everyone was all upset, but guess what? It dominated the conversation throughout the entirety of fandom leading up to the actual release of the trailer when people were watching it. And I've said this before, Warner's is not above, in my opinion, leaking information. They're not above leaking trailers, again, my opinion. I think a lot of the times these stuff do get leaked out early in order to have a rapid, massive buildup of fan interaction and demand for either a higher quality product or an official release.
And it's not just Warner Brothers, Matt. It's pretty much all of these fucking companies these days. They're all using these tactics. Things get quote unquote leaked all the fucking time. Some of these leaks are genuine, I'm sure, and real. But these days especially, I feel like there's a lot of gray areas when something is genuinely being leaked without like the company's consent and when it is, because I kind of detest the idea. I don't like my first impression of anything, especially like a movie trailer being in this crappy, you know, visual where it's like recording on someone's phone of like a screen or something like that. I hate that shit. So I wish that they would fuck
but
off.
But it worked.
With that.
It worked for Venom too.
It did.
It really worked for Venom too because it had the appearance. It had the appearance of something taboo and illicit, right? Now, hold on here. Mr. Sean, 3 Kids says, you seem too ready to find a negative when these figures are a sign of support for the film. 1.5 million unique users is huge. That is not a few people repeat tweeting. I'm not saying that they did not amplify it out.
It's huge,
I'm not saying
it's also
that there's
a multi fucking billion-dollar franchise. You know,
it is. I mean? Well, it is. But 1.5 million unique users. And that how somehow amplified out to 34.7 billion impressions. I'm just saying, like, to me, it seems kind of weird, but it also, I do know that a lot of those guys have multiple accounts. Not all of them. Obviously, there are a lot of people that were brought into it. A lot of people made their way into the fandom and a lot of people support the movie and still support the movie. These numbers are good. But what I've seen people in regards talking about this, they're saying like, why did, you know, what does David Zaslav think about all this? Is Zaslav going to start firing people as a result of this? Are we going to start, you know, all this kind of stuff, you know? And so it's like, again, it's that jumping to conclusions is what I'm talking about. There are a lot of people who saw the Snyder Cut. Yeah, if you look at the Samba TV numbers, it was 1.8 million. So that's just those 1.8 million based upon Samsung-owned televisions. The number is much bigger than that. But Warner Brothers has not released any of that information. They have not made a public statement about it. They have not brought it up in any capacity. This is the best that we've gotten in regards to the social media response to it. But guess what? Social media response, not as big as it used to be. It's just not. I'm sorry. You know, like it's just not as big as it used to be. Because if 34.7 billion impressions is what they're touting, then why is it only 1.5 million unique people across, what was that, Facebook? Let me find this here. It was the 1.5 million. It was Twitter and Facebook, I believe.
Well, hey, Matt, when you use vague terms like fan, it's easy to twist shit around and make it seem weird.
So, all right. So it's for the Snyder Cut Instagram page, 388,000 people. And then the Twitter account has 296,000 people. Hold on, 388 plus 296. I just want to add this up here. 388 plus, what was it?
Fans.
Are you high right now?
What?
You sound high.
You know, Matt, why do you ask yourself a question? You already know the answer to it.
Yeah. All right. I guess so. 296. Hold on, I hit the wrong button. Okay, and then 388 is 684,000 people.
Damn.
between those guys. So they're touting here 1.5 million unique social accounts between this and this, Instagram and Facebook, but they only have not even half of that is what's publicly following them.
See, wow.
And they also said, again, they say up here, what was it? 700, I think it's down here. 734,851 fans gained. And this is an older document. This was put together after the movie had come out. The movie came out in March. So out of that, they've dropped about 50,000 fans in that time period. I don't know.
Be true.
Something about that seems a bit off to me. Something about suspicious, a little bit weird.
Bit sus. Just like that chicken nugget.
That chicken nugget was super sus, man.
Yeah, it was.
Again, listen, I'm not trying to downplay the success of the film. What I'm talking about here again, as I always do, is I approach it from the most probably cynical perspective in regards to the business. Social media interaction, while great and it does a good job for building brand awareness, does not translate into direct engagement or direct sales. People who were already invested in the Snyder Cut were definitely going to engage with it in any way that they could. The movie has been out now for a couple months on home video. I heard somebody arguing the other day that it's still the #1 selling home video. It's not. It's actually number 24 right now. It dropped in 2 months down to number 24, whereas BVS in the summer of 2016 between Blu-ray and DVD spent 5 weeks at number 1. Zack Snyder's Justice League did not do that. That's not to say it did not sell, but it's not selling as well as its predecessor. That will, and that's probably because people got it on HBO Max and things like that, So we'll see where it goes down the road as more data comes out. What I would love is for HBO Max to eventually put out the information, because at that point we would definitely know precisely what's going on and where the movie stands, because then that would give us a better understanding about whether or not we're actually going to get a sequel.